John 21. Very good chapter that we're going to learn about here today. Yahushua shows back up on the scene. We're going to see at the start of this chapter, we're going to be seeing the disciples. What have they been up to since Yahushua has been gone? What have they been up to? We're going to see what they've been doing. And then we're going to see Yahushua come and he's going to talk to them. And we're going to see the implications of what this talk means, not only for them at that time, but for us here in 2023 and even beyond us. So without further ado, my Hebrew brother, read verses 1 through 3 for me.
After these things, Jesus shewed himself again to the disciples at the Sea of Tiberias, and on this wise shewed he himself. There were together Simon Peter, and Thomas called Didymus, and Nathanael of Cana in Galilee, and the sons of Zebedee, and two other of his disciples. Simon Peter saith unto them, I go a fishing. They say unto him, We also go with thee. They went forth and entered into a ship immediately, and that night they caught nothing.
So we're going to see what is being talked about here in these 3 verses here. Now you see, Yahushua shows himself again to the disciples at the Sea of Tiberias, which is another name for the Sea of Galilee. So here, the Sea of Tiberias is a significant location geographically for the Israelites. Why? Because it is the place where Yahushua called several of his disciples from their work as fishermen. You remember they were fishermen. Remember, Yahushua went and picked the disciples to become his disciples, to follow him. So this Sea of Galilee, this Sea of Tiberias, as they're calling it here, is very significant for us because it is also where he performed many of his miracles. Now, the sea itself can be seen as a symbol of the chaotic and tumultuous nature of the nations that surround Israel. And Yahushua's lordship, because remember, he calmed the seas before when he walked on water, over these seas represents his sovereignty over all creation, including the nations. Now, this phrase, he shewed himself again, emphasizes the recurring and faithful presence of the Most High among his people. So throughout the scriptures, the Most High reveals himself to Israel repeatedly, despite their obedience in exile, especially after he died, and especially in the Old Testament, the Most High reveals himself to us, which is reminiscent of the Most High's presence or promise in Leviticus 26 and 45, if we want to go there and read that. Again, that's Leviticus 26 and 45 to see this promise that the Most High made with our people.
But I will, for their sakes, remember the covenant of their ancestors,
Mhm.
whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt in the sight of the heathen, that I might be their God. I am the Lord.
So this promise here is the exact same thing that Yahushua is doing here. He's showing himself to his people to remind him that he's still with them. He has not forgotten them. As I've said throughout this entire lessons of John, you may go through your life and it may seem that you are alone. It may seem that no one is there for you. No one's advocating for you. No one is looking out for you through these trials and tribulations that are in your path in this day. But Yahushua is always with you, just as he showed himself here to these disciples after he was resurrected. You're never alone, even though it may seem that way. The Most High is always there to guide you and to make sure to get you to where you need to be and give you that wisdom, knowledge, understanding of him so that faith can never waver. Because in these days, with all these things going on, and especially back then, with them being persecuted for having the testimony of Yahushua, our, your faith may waver. You may stop believing. You may start having doubts. But the Most High is always with you. You just have to have the faith. And you have that faith, and you have that love for him and your people. He's always going to be right there to guide you along this path to the kingdom. Never forget that. So we see who are all in this boat fishing. We got Simon, Peter, Thomas, Nathaniel, sons of Zebedee, and two other of his disciples here. So this gathering of the disciples by the sea represents the regathering of Israel. You see, the disciples, hailing from different walks of life like they did, symbolize the diverse tribes of Israel. Nathaniel, for instance, is specifically identified as being from Cana in Galilee, which, if you guys remember, all the way back in the beginning of John, which is a location of one of Jesus' first miracles. Remember, he turned water into wine, which can be seen as a sign of the transformation and restoration that Yahushua brings to Israel. You see, he cleaned you up. That's what Yahushua has done. When we have believed on him, when we believe these scriptures, he cleans you up from the filth that you were in before, when you were in the world, doing your own pleasures. But now, you have been transformed through the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, into a follower of Christ. Now you have the faith. Now you believe the book. Now you have love for him, but not only for him, but for your people too. And by having that faith and love for him and your people, guess what you do? You fulfill the royal law. The law itself, that law of Moses, has passed away. It's done away with. The law of Christ, these commandments that Christ has left us, to love him and to love your neighbor, which is your brothers and sisters, as yourself. These are the new law. These are the new commandments. Because if you do that, guess what? You fulfill those 10 commandments anyway. If you love your brother, you're not going to steal from him. You love your sister, you're not going to sleep with a husband. You love your brother, you're not going to sleep with his wife. You love God, you're not going to profane the Sabbath. You're not going to worship other gods. You love your mama and your daddy, guess what? You're going to honor them, right? And so on and so forth. This is how we do it in this new covenant. This is how we walk. It's not about old covenant, law, statutes, and commandments. Law, statutes, and commandments, like a lot of our brethren keep espousing all over social media. It's all about love. You can follow the commandments all you want to, day in, night in, whatever. You can follow them all you want. But if you hate your brother, if you hate your sister, the Most High sees that as a transgression. So when it says, when Yahushua says, if you love me, keep my commandments, it ain't talking about the law of Moses commandments in the way that they had adhered to it strictly. Now it's talking about faith and love for not only him, but your brothers and sisters. Those are the commandments he's talking about. That is how you fulfill the law, through faith and through love. Because a lot of our brothers out there, they are following the commandments, but they got hate for their brothers and sisters. So how are they following the commandments if they hate their own people? You see it all over. A lot of coons out there saying they love Jesus, but look what they're doing. Look how they operate. Look how their mindset is. Look what they do to their own brethren. They do them in to please the heathen. How is that fulfilling of the commandments? That is not keeping of the commandments. So this is what Yahushua brings when you come into this truth. He transforms your entire being, but especially your mindset. He takes away that carnal mindset that we had in the world, and he gives you a spiritual mind to be able to interpret these scriptures spiritually. Because the Bible is a spiritual book. Now, did a lot of these things happen? Of course. But then you had to ask yourselves, okay, what are these spiritual implications? And through the Most High, I'm able to give you those implications. So continuing on verse 2 here, the mention of these other two disciples in that verse, without naming them, you can see this as an open invitation to all Israelites, including the lost tribes at that time, which is the northern kingdom, to be a part of Christ's body. As the Most High calls not only the known, but also the unknown and the hidden ones, as indicated if we turn our books to Isaiah chapter 45 and read verse 3. Again, that's Isaiah 45 and 3, and we're going to see that the Most High calls not only the known, but also the unknown and the hidden ones. Whenever you're ready, brother.
And I will give thee the treasures of darkness and hidden riches of secret places, that thou mayest know that I, the Lord, which call thee by thy name, am the God of Israel.
There you go. Just not only the ones who's known, which at that time was Judah, the southern kingdom, but also the unknown, which was the northern kingdom. Because remember, they were divorced. So he's going to show all these things to not only the southern kingdom, but also to the northern kingdom. And so we get to verse 3. Simon's talking about he's going back fishing again. And they say, okay, we go with you. But guess what? They was in that ship all night. They ain't catch nothing. Well, what does that mean, though? So Peter, his decision to return to fishing is symbolic of Israel's tendency to what? Go back, revert to familiar ways, especially in times of uncertainty. See, they think Christ's gone. He's resurrected, but they think he's gone. So they don't know what to do. They're like, hey, I guess we're going to go fishing again. They have no idea what to do. So they go back and we revert back to our old ways, especially when you got stuff that come up into your life, especially nowadays. You go back to your old thinking again. The flesh comes back into remembrance. So the act of fishing itself that they're doing can also be seen as an allegory for Israel's calling to be fishers of men, as stated by prophet Jeremiah. If we go to Jeremiah 16 and 16. Again, that's Jeremiah 16 and 16. So they're fishing, but it's symbolic because they're going to be fishers of men. And Jeremiah 16 and 16 is going to tell us this.
Behold, I will send for many fishers, saith the Lord, and they shall fish them. And after will I send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain, and from every hill, and out of the holes of the rocks.
Coming for everybody. Israel, all of you. That's what this verse is talking about. You see, a lot of people, a lot of other Israelites, they interpret this verse as talking about the other nations, of judgment on them. It has nothing to do with them. I told you this book is about Israel. So the Most High is going to send fishers. which symbolizes that in this first beginning, he's going to send fishers and then hunters. So that first one, the fishers, are going to be more of a indirect way of getting over to Judah, because that's what it's first talking about, to Judah. He's going to fish out of Judah. Then he's going to send hunters to go get the northern kingdom, because remember, they're scattered all over. So this is going to be a more harder sifting when he sends out the other apostles to go to the northern kingdom and find them, because they're scattered all over. Judah, at least Judah is there in the land. And then he's going to send for the hunters, Paul, Peter, other disciples. They're going to go out and they're going to find these other Israelites, these northern kingdom Israelites, because they're scattered abroad. Okay, so that fruitless night that they had, they didn't get no fish, represents the futility of our efforts without the guidance of the Most High and blessings. So that's what we do. When we go out without the Most High, it's futile. If the Most High's hand is not in it, then you're doing it for no reason, for nothing. So this tells us that if we're going to do something, that the Lord has to be behind it. If we want it to what? Succeed. See, the Lord wasn't with them right here in this particular one, which is why they didn't catch no fish. But we're going to see later on, Yahusha comes and he's going to provide that guidance. And then you're going to see what happens when he does. So that fruitless night also mirrors the experience of Israel when they strayed from the Most High's commandments and find themselves in a state of spiritual emptiness that you can read in Deuteronomy 28, 65 through 67. Again, that's Deuteronomy 28, 65 through 67. Whenever you're ready.
All right. 28, 65, 67.
Yep, 28, 65 to 67.
And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have none assurance of thy life. In the morning thou shalt say, Would God it were even. And at even thou shalt say, Would God it were morning. For the fear of thine heart, where thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see.
See, as you can see what happens when you don't have the Most High? See that fear? That's what happens when you do not have the Most High. All throughout the scriptures, you see it. You see it right now with our people. Just look out. Just look at your evening news. Look at our people. Scared. They don't know what to do. They're dropping like flies, and they have no idea why they're dropping like flies. But if you have the Most High, that fear evaporates. You know whatever you're going to put your hand to is going to succeed. So all this laboring that a lot of our people are doing, it's futile because it's not going to last. Just look at all these news about our people. What's going on with TD Jakes, P. Diddy, Jonathan Majors, all these people. All that laboring they did. All that work they did. And the Most High just unraveled it like that. This is what happens when you don't have him. You're going to fail. If we go to John 15:5, listen what Yahushua says. Again, that's John 15:5. Without him, you nothing. And he's going to tell you that out of his own mouth. John 15:5. Whenever you're ready.
I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me ye can do nothing.
What is that word again? Nothing. Look at all these celebrities. Look at them. All these careers being ended. Just like that. Just like that. Because they're what? They're apart from Christ. Just like the disciples couldn't get no fish. Why? Because they were apart from Christ. So let's go down and read what happens after this now. You want to read verses 4-6 in John 21 to go see what happens when they do get divine guidance. Watch this.
But when the morning was now come, Jesus stood on the shore, but the disciples knew not that it was Jesus. Then Jesus said unto them, Children, have ye any meat? They answered him, Nope. And he said unto them, Cast the nets on the right side of the ship, and ye shall find. They cast therefore, and now they were not able to draw it for the multitude of the fishes.
You see that? You see what happens now when you get divine guidance? When Yahushua with you, now they can't even draw up the net. Too much fish. Too much blessings. Too many. This is the power of Yahushua. The power of his presence in your life. When you stay with him, when you continue to seek after him, this is what can happen to you. Abundance. Blessings all over your life, in all aspects of your life. Blessings rain down on you. People will think you lucky, but it ain't luck. It's because you got the Most High with you. And he's blessing your hands and everything that you do. Wherever you go, you are blessing. Whatever you do succeeds. This is what he's trying to communicate to you through these verses. So focusing on verse 4, day was breaking, so that means guess what? Sun's coming up. What does this mean? So the breaking of the day shows a new revelation and the dawning of understanding that will soon come to the disciples. This moment parallels the spiritual awakening that is prophesied for Israel, as in Romans 13:12. We can go see what Paul said about it. Romans 13 and verse 12.
The night is far spent, the day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light.
Was that Romans 13:12?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was looking at the wrong one. My bad. So there you go. The day is at hand. Yahushua is bringing in new understanding. Not only to the disciples, but to anyone who comes to him. You see, when we're in the world, that represents night, darkness. When we come to the truth, when we believe in this book, we have faith in him, we obey him, then guess what? New day, new light, new understanding. Isn't that what happened with all y'all? Y'all couldn't get this book. All of a sudden, y'all can understand this book. You know who this book's about? You know what these verses mean? That's the power of Yahushua. Night is gone, the day is at hand. New understanding is here for you. And it was also here for the disciples here. So the presence of Yahushua on this shore, yet unrecognized, when they ain't recognize him, reflects the prophetic theme that the Messiah would first come to his own, Israel, and they would not know him, as we see in Isaiah 53:3, which reads, he was despised and rejected by men. That's us, Israelites. We couldn't recognize him when he first came. And him being on that shore and they couldn't recognize him is showing that same theme again. So Yahushua said, hey, children, have you any fish? Do you got any fish? He knew the answer, but he wanted to ask him because he wanted to hear that nice no. So the question again about that fish, it's not of ignorance, but it's rather a rhetorical question leading to a teaching moment because he's about to teach you. Without me, you can't do nothing. So their negative response, no, is an admission of their own inability to provide for themselves, which can be seen again as an allegory for all of Israel's recognition of their dependence on the Most High for sustenance and blessings. We depend on him. So you guys got a house, you guys got a place to live, you got food in the fridge, you got a job, you got money, you got clothes on your back. How do you get that? Did you get that from your own power, or did the Most High bless it for you? Some people, they prideful. They answer, I do all this by myself. My smarts got me this. My knowledge, my degree got me this. My degree got me this job. My degree got me this car. It was because of me. That's what majority of Israelites would say when you ask them that question. Because they don't believe in the Most High. They believe they got everything they ever gotten in their life because of their own hands. But I find it funny that a lot of our people, they blame the Most High when they don't have nothing. But all of a sudden, when they get something, oh, the Most High is nowhere in sight. Have you guys ever wondered that? I know I have. They blame the Most High. First, they say don't believe in God, but they blame God when they failing in life, when they ain't got nothing. Man, why God do this to me, man? Why he got me like this, man? I can't do nothing, man. But as soon as they get something, they win the lottery, or they get a promotion, or they get a job, a nice job, so they can get a nice house, nice car. All of a sudden, I did it. I did this by myself. My knowledge got me on this. You see this? This is our people. Stubborn, stiff-necked. But I'm going to go and I'm going to show you something. Let's go to Psalm 127 and the first verse. I want you to see this. Watch this. Psalm 127:1. The Most High going to show you who is in power. Whenever you're ready, brother.
Except the Lord built the house, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman waketh, but in vain.
Most High is in power, whether you get blessings or curses. Most High is the one behind them both. He can bless you or he can curse you. That all depends on you. You going to follow him or you going to stray from him? You can see our people have chosen to stray, which is why you have seen us or see us currently in this state that we're in all over the world. And they continue to stray. Even though we try to come and bring this word to them, they refuse to adhere to it. They refuse to acknowledge their identity. I'm black, man, I ain't no Israelite. They continue to believe the lies of the heathen saying we African. Now, we did come from Africa because that's where Israel is located. But we are not African. There is a difference. But the world seems to just group all these dark people together out of ignorance. There is a division. You got 3 sons of Noah. You have to make that division. So the Most High is in control. And that's what Yahushua is trying to tell these disciples, trying to get them to understand. They said no. He's like, see, this is what happens when you go out and do stuff on your own without me. It's like going to your car, but you ain't got the keys. Are you gonna be able to drive your car without the keys? Same way with the Most High. If you don't got the Most High with you wherever you go, are you ever going to be able to succeed? The answer is no. And we see in verse 6, he tells them, hey, cast the net off to the right side. But we're going to see what this right side is. Because this right side of the boat can also be seen as a directive towards what? Righteousness in following the Most High's commandment, as the right hand or right side is often associated with strength and favor in the Bible. And we can read that if we turn our books over to Psalm 118 and we read verses 15 and 16. Again, that's Psalm 118 verses 15 and 16.
The voice of rejoicing and salvation is in the tabernacles of the righteous. The right hand of the Lord doth valiantly. The right hand of the Lord is exalted. The right hand of the Lord doeth valiantly.
Power, favor, righteousness. That's why he said the right hand side. You see, the Most High does not put anything in this book for nothing. Because didn't Yahushua go back up and sit on the what? Right hand side of his father? Right is a very significant direction in this book. So they cast out the net. They listened to him. They did what? They obeyed. And what did that result in? An abundant catch, symbolizing the blessings of obedience to the Most High's commandments. You do what the Most High say, blessings, just like he did in Deuteronomy 28. Got 1 through 15, 1 through 14, blessings. And then he tells you, if you don't do what I say, curses. So the disciples obeyed. Because they could have said, nah, we good. We don't want to listen to it. We'll keep on putting it on the left side. And then guess what? They would have still ended up catching nothing. But they listened. And look what happened. So this miraculous catch can also be seen again as another metaphor. For what, though? The ingathering of Israel, where the net does not break, representing what? The preservation of the people, the remnant. So these fish that was caught was a symbolization of the remnant of Israel being gathered. How do we know this? Let's go to Jeremiah 31 and read verse 10. Watch this, family. Watch this. Again, that's Jeremiah 31 and read verse 10.
Hear the word of the Lord, O ye nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, He that scattered Israel will gather him and keep him, as a shepherd doth his flock.
There you go. He scattered us into these captivity. He got to return us back to the land. But we got people out there preaching this 70 AD. Everything happened in 70 AD. The preterist doctrine. I don't know if you guys have heard of the preterist doctrine, but it is a very powerful doctrine that a lot of our people are gravitating towards, which says that everything was done in 70 AD. Wherever you at now, whatever land you at, that's where you're going to be at forever. They saying Jesus already made a second coming, all that stuff in 70 AD. This is what they're teaching. And they're teaching this stuff because these coons don't want no judgment to happen to their master, to the white man. This is another way of trying to write out judgment and take judgment away from these other nations. These heathen came up with this preterist doctrine, and now you got these coons going over there, licking the boots of their master. It's okay, master. You ain't going to be judged. You're not going to be judged. Don't worry. God not going to judge you. Not going to judge you. They will be judged. The Most High put us in captivity. He got to take us out. You think he going to leave his people in the land of their enemies? Is that righteous? Is that justice? Absolutely not. So we are those fishes that are in that net that is not broken. Why? Because the Most High ain't going to lose one of you. You in this truth, you in the flock, you ain't finna stray again. You part of this remnant, you part of the Most High now. You part of his body. He ain't finna allow you to go nowhere. You his property. You ain't going nowhere. You stay put right here with this remnant. That's what it's saying here. That's what's representing by this net. This net that does not break. The Most High got you. Right in his hand, he got you. He ain't letting you go. You may stumble, you may fall, but guess what? Most High still got you. Dust you off. Put you back on the path again. This is what it's about. You his property. You ain't going nowhere. You don't got that on your spirit to go back into the world. Go back to your vomit. You don't have it no more. You don't want to hang out with your old friends no more. You don't want to go back out to the club no more. You don't want to drink excessively no more. You don't want to sin no more. Most High took it out of you. Why? Because you're staying right here with the remnant. That's what he's trying to tell you here in that verse. He's trying to get you to see it. I got you. You in my hand now. You ain't going nowhere. I got you. You may go through some trials and tribulations. Your job, people at your job may get on you, but I got you. You may run through issues with your family. They may start ganging up on you, but the Most High say, I got you. You may go through car troubles. You may go through a whole lot of stuff with your house. Pipes breaking. Roof caving in. So on and so forth. But guess what the Most High say? I got you. He got you, family. There is no need for doubt. There is no need for your faith to be wavering all over the place. There is no need for you to be lukewarm in this truth. The Most High got you. You should be zealous for the Lord. Fire, passion, as you're going to see with your boy Simon Peter in the upcoming verses. This is how you should be when you know the Most High got you. No fear should ever creep into your heart when you know the creator of the whole earth got you. So these disciples, their inability to haul the net due to the quantity of the fish. It was so heavy. It was so many fish. So many of the remnant. Which shows the overwhelming blessings and restoration that the Most High has in store for you, Israel. Which would be beyond their own capacity to contain or comprehend. How do we know this? Well, let's go to Malachi 3 and 10. Let the Lord tell you. Let the Lord tell you how much blessings he got for you, remnant, the faithful of Israel. Let the Most High show you. Malachi chapter 3 and 10. Watch this. Listen to your Creator.
Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house. And prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I would not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it.
So much blessings you can't even count. You can't fathom the amount of blessings that the Most High has for you. You may be going through a lot of crap right now, but guess what? Most High got blessings that you can't even count waiting for you. If only you endure and be patient. Then the Most High say, I got a reward. When he comes back, my reward will be with me. Blessings. He said, no more tears from my people. We're going to be blessed so much, we ain't going to be able to cry. We're going to be that happy and joyous. So yes, we suffer now. We bear this cross now. We walk with this cross on our shoulders spiritually. Going through all this stuff that we're going through today. And so did the disciples. But guess what? The Most High say, I got blessings. So many blessings, you ain't got no room for them. This is for you, Israel. This is to give you what? Hope. So you don't have doubts. So you don't have fear. This hope of numerous blessings will get you through those days at work when those bosses are on your ass and they won't leave you alone. The thought of these blessings will get you through anything that happens in this walk. Because family, it's about to get worse. If you're seeing the movie Leave the World Behind that we told y'all about last week, if you're seeing that movie on Netflix, it's coming to pass. That's coming to pass. But guess what? If you're with the Most High Yah, guess what? You will be protected if that is his will for you. Some of us may have to die for this truth, though. But there will be some of y'all that will be protected during this time of craziness. You will be showered with protection. The Most High's presence will be in your life. But that's only if you adhere to the commandments of faith and love to him and to your people. That's what's tied to it. You got to love your own people. A lot of them doing some crazy stuff out there. I understand. But should that take away the love that you have for them? No. We got some wicked ass Israelites out there. I ain't gonna lie. We do. We do. But does that stop you from loving them? Did Yahushua stop loving his people when he was here? Even though he had all them Pharisees coming up against him? He went and sat with these sinners. He went and sat with them. He brought the word to them. He taught them. He put miracles on them. Those Pharisees came to him all the time. Did that stop him from loving them? No. He still gave them teaching words. Even through the rejection, he still taught them, those Pharisees. That's love, family. You want to have some of these blessings? You want to get these blessings? You want to have the Most High in your life? You got to love not only him, but you got to love your people. Take care of your people. You ain't going to get no blessings if you don't do that. So what? Your mama still eating pork? So what? Your daddy still in the world doing what he's doing? You still love them, right? You still try to witness to them, right? When you can, when you have the opportunity. That's love. That's what Yahushua's trying to get us to understand. In this whole book of John, he's trying to get us to love one another. Because we all we got here. These heathen are all confederate in hating you. Do not allow them to split us up and to hate each other as well. So as we move on in this book of John 21, we're going to read the next two verses, 7 and 8. You're going to watch your boy Peter here. Watch what he does. This is what you should be doing, Israel. Whenever you're ready, brother.
Therefore, that disciple whom Jesus loved saith unto Peter, It is the Lord. Now, when Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he girt his fisher's coat unto him, for he was naked, and did cast himself into the sea. And the other disciples came in a little ship, for they were not far from the land, but as it were 200 cubits, dragging the net with fishes.
You see that? You see that attitude Peter had? As soon as he knew it was Jesus, he put on his clothes and he jumped straight in. Jumped right in the water, right towards the Most High. Because he loved him that much. That's how you should be. That's how you should be seeking the Most High. Peter didn't care. He jumped straight off that boat, swam to his Lord, to his master. That's how you should be. And this echoes Psalm 42 and 1. Again, that's Psalm chapter 42 and verse 1. Watch this. This is how your love for the Most High should be.
As the hart panteth after the water brooks, so panteth my soul after thee, O God.
Read second one too.
My soul thirsteth for God, for the living God. When shall I come and appear before God?
His soul thirsts for God. That was Peter's thoughts right there. Thirst for God so much, he just threw on some clothes and boom, he went out. He was naked. Threw on some clothes, boom. Jumped in the water right after Jesus. That's how you should be. And that's exactly what we did when we got into this truth. Once we found out who this Yahushua was, once we found out who we were, we found out who he is, we went after him, didn't we? We hit the ground running. I know I did. Well, I was in this book day and night. I would listen to all kind of podcasts about Yahushua. I wanted to know what this book was talking about. Same thing Peter is right here. That's the love right there. That's the love we got for Yahushua. That's how we're supposed to be. That's how we got to be. We got to be bold. We can't back down from other people who try to get in our way. When we try to bring this word out, we got detractors trying to make us look like liars. We don't back down. We bold. We bold. So this disciple whom Yahushua loved, which is John, who's writing this book, he represents those within Israel, this faithful remnant, who have a special closeness to the Most High and can perceive his presence. These are the faithful remnant. We know that the Most High is with us. We can see it. Why? Because we can see how our life is. We can see the blessings that the Most High has given us while we've been in this walk. We know when he's there, and we know when he's not. That's who this John is representing here. And so this recognition of it is the Lord shows the moment of spiritual revelation when the faithful within Israel recognized the Messiah. That's when we came into the knowledge of the truth. And that's how it was back then. They didn't know who he was until he resurrected. Then they finally say, oh, so he's the Messiah. He is the Lord. And for us here in 2023, we read this book, and the Lord puts that Holy Spirit on us. Then we get the understanding. Then we get our spiritual revelation. That's how we get our spiritual revelation, because he's not here physically. He's right here in this book, and spiritually through the Holy Spirit. That's how we get our spiritual revelation. So Simon Peter's reaction, jumping in the sea, is an act of zeal and what? Respect. Why? Because the act of clothing oneself symbolizes the putting on of righteousness or readiness to meet the Most High. As in Exodus 19 and 10. We're going to read this. Exodus 19 and 10, where the Lord tells Moses to consecrate the people before they come and meet him. Again, it's Exodus 19 and verse 10, whenever you're ready.
And the Lord said unto Moses, go unto the people and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes.
See, they got to consecrate themselves. Before you meet Yah, you got to be whole, you got to be clean. And that's what it symbolizes, him putting on them clothes and jumping into that water, washing his clothes. And that's how we got to be before the Most High. We got to be clean. We got to be righteous. If we want the Most High's presence to stay with us, we got to be righteous. We got to be clean, no sin, none of that. Or the Most High's presence will poof. So now you got the other disciples that they're coming in the ship because, Peter left them up in there. They got to come over here in this ship, dragging this net with all these fishes in it. So these other disciples, their journey to the shore in that quote-unquote little ship shows the respect or the communal aspect, the togetherness, the unity of Israel's relationship with the Most High, where not just the individual leaders, but all the people of Israel that are part of this remnant are part of the journey towards what? The Most High's promises. That's the journey we on right now, right? We're on this walk towards the kingdom to get these promises that the Most High said he was going to give us. That's what we're doing. This is our journey. Same way here. This is what it's talking about, this little journey going back to the shore. Going towards who? Jesus. That's who we're going towards today, right? We're going towards Jesus. So the detail of being not far from land suggests that the revelation of the Most High through the Messiah is near at hand for Israel. They was right there on the cusp. Because they're just going to get that understanding at Pentecost when that Holy Spirit going to rest on them. And so you got these 200 cubits that you see here, which can also be seen as a symbolic of a measure of faith or separation that must be traversed to come into full presence of the Most High. And so them dragging the net with fish without breaking it symbolizes again that preservation of Israel that I just told you about previously through trials and gathering of the people without loss. Because Amos prophesied this as well, that the Most High wasn't going to lose his remnant. If we go to Amos chapter 9 and verse 9. Again, this is Amos chapter 9 and verse 9, where Amos here is going to prophesy that the Most High ain't going to lose this remnant that he's going to gather.
For lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations, like as corn is sifted in a sieve, yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth.
He's not going to allow his remnant to be left behind, to be lost. Whoever is going to be in his truth is going to be in his truth. You got people that fall away from the truth. Does that mean they were part of the remnant? No. They may claim to be a part of the remnant, but if you ain't doing what the Most High tell you to do, can you really claim yourself to be a part of the remnant? The answer is a big fat no. But his true remnant, he ain't finna lose any one of them. We don't got that spirit of going back to our vomit to do the things that the Most High took us away from. We don't have that no more. So in these verses, this personal recognition of Yahushua by John and the immediate passionate response of Peter represents the awakening of Israel to the presence of their Messiah. Not only back then, but today. Look how many of our people are waking up to who they are, to who Yahushua really is. It's happening worldwide, family. Worldwide. So this communal approach of the other disciples, being together in unity in that ship, coming towards the shore, shows the collective restoration and unity of Israel as they come to recognize and what? Accept the Messiah. So the fish, representing the people of Israel, are brought safely to shore, showing the successful gathering of the exiles and the fulfillment of the Most High's promises of restoration. It's going to happen. It always comes back to us being restored and going back to our land. It always comes back to that. We are the fishes. And we're going to make it safely to the land. Why? Because the Most High, like I told you before, he got you. You may get beat up a little bit here and there, but again, like I told you, the Most High got you. You still going to make it to the shore, aka the kingdom, and receive those blessings that the Most High has in store for his remnant. So as we continue going through John 21 here, we're going to do a little bit of reading. We're going to read verses 9 through 14, and we're going to get into a little conversation here. Or they're going to have a little meal. And Yahushua's going to say some things to them. So whenever you're ready, 9 through 14.
As soon then as they were come to land, they saw a fire of coals there, and fish laid thereon, and bread. Jesus said unto them, Bring of the fish which ye have now caught. Simon Peter went up and drew the net to land full of great fishes, 153. And for all there were so many, yet was not the net broken.
Mm.
Jesus said unto them, Come and dine. And none of the disciples durst ask him, Who art thou? Knowing that it was the Lord. Jesus then cometh and taketh bread and giveth them like fish, and fish likewise. This is now the third time that Jesus shewed himself to his disciples. After that, he was risen from the dead.
There you go. So what's being said here in these verses? So start with verse 9. So they came to the land, they saw these fire coals and fish laid thereon and bread. So the disciples, their arrival to land in the sight of the fire with the fish and bread is a representation of the Most High's provision and presence. He already had something waiting for him. He already had a nice little meal set up for him. That's the Most High's giving you blessing. Just like he's able, that's just like you got food in your fridge. Right? It's the exact same thing right here. The Most High is providing for his people. And again, fire is a symbol of the Most High's presence. Well, how do we know that? Exodus 3 and 2, for example. Again, it's Exodus 3 and 2. We're going to see again. We're going to see this fire as a symbol of the Most High's presence.
And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight.
3 and 2.
Why? 3 and 2?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed.
Fire, symbol of the Most High's presence. Then they see fire. They saw fire coals there, right? So the fish and bread provided without the disciples' catch. Remember, they caught their own fish, but there's already fish right here. And it shows again the miraculous sustenance from the Most High, which mirrors the exact same sustenance of the manna that was provided in the wilderness in Exodus 16. See, they didn't have to even cook up no fish. There was already some fish and bread there already. That's the Most High showing provision for his people. And that's what he does for you, Israel. The Most High provides for you. You do not provide for yourself. You got fridge in there. You got food in your fridge because the Most High allowed you to have food in your fridge. He could easily make you homeless, like he has a lot of our brothers and sisters out there. You got a job because the Most High allowed you to have a job. A car because the Most High allowed you to have a car. An apartment, house, because the Most High allowed you to have a roof over your head. And so on and so forth. Your provision is from him, not from you. Just because you bought something don't mean the Most High did not have a hand in that. Because who allowed you to have the money to buy what you need to buy? The Most High. He can make you penniless. Look at all the homeless people out there. That could be you. That could have been any one of us. But through the sheer grace and mercy of the Most High, he did not allow that to be our reality. This is why you need to be humble when you have these things. Because there's a whole lot of people who don't got this. Too many people get puffed up by how many things they have, not knowing the Most High in an instant can take it all away. Never get puffed up. Always stay humble and thank the Most High for everything in your house and outside your house. Because he provided it, not you. Remember that. That way you can always stay humble. Because the earth The meek shall inherit the earth. Who's the meek? That's humble. The humble of who? Israel. We're going to inherit the earth. No prideful Israelites. They're going to be gone. Most High going to get rid of them. Only the humble Israelites are going to inherit the earth, going to get rulership of the kingdom and of this whole earth. Just because you get something, you got a raise, the Most High gave you a raise. That's how you need to see these things. The Most High provided for you through his grace, through his mercy. He gave you what you need. This is why we are thankful for everything that he does for us. Whether it's getting up in the morning or even being able to walk on 2 feet. Because look at people who don't have that ability to walk on 2 feet. You need to be thankful for every aspect of your life. That is what the Most High is trying to tell you here in this verse 9. I provide, not you. In verse 10, oh. I have no idea.
I'm here.
Can y'all hear me? Oh, there we go. Now I'm back.
You got me, Will?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
All right. Did you hear me explaining all this stuff?
No, I couldn't hear anything.
Verse 9, you couldn't hear me?
No. But if you got enough,
Wow.
yeah, I couldn't hear anything. I kid you not.
Wow.
Some
So
of it
I
I
was talking
could.
about some of it you could?
Yeah,
Okay.
some of it I got, and then somebody called me, and it just knocked everything out of haywire. So I'm wondering if it knocked everybody else or anything else. But it knocked me out of. I, I missed some stuff, but I got some other stuff with it.
Oh, okay. Did
Yeah.
y'all hear me explain all this stuff in verse 9? I don't know. I don't want to be like I was talking. Y'all hear me? Okay. All
I
praise.
heard you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Got you.
All right, there we go.
All right, then. We good then. I was about to say,
Yeah.
I'm talking to nobody. I said all that. I'm talking to nobody. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I'm just keeping my mic muted right now. So go ahead. Yeah. So go ahead.
All right. All right. Okay. All right. So verse 10. So Yahusha, he said, he told him, all right, now bring the fish that you got. So his instruction to bring this fish symbolizes the inclusion of the disciples' efforts in the Most High's plans, which again is seen as an invitation to participate in the blessings and work of the Most High, which what we had to do because we had to bring our first fruits of our labor to the Most High. If we read in Deuteronomy 26 and verse 10. Again, that's Deuteronomy 26 in verse 10, and you see that we had to bring stuff to the Most High.
And now behold, I have brought the first fruits of the land, which thou, O Lord, hast given me. And thou shalt set it before the Lord thy God, and worship before the Lord thy God.
So as you can see, the Most High is including our, or at this point, Peter's, or the fish that they caught. He's including their bounty into this meal or into this blessing, just like we did back in the land when we gave him our first fruits of everything that we grew in our crops. So Simon went up and he gave these fishes to the Most High. And so you got this specific number of fish. You got 153. And then you got the unbroken net, despite the large catch, symbolizes again the abundant and diverse restoration of Israel, with the net representing unity and strength, as I told you earlier. It's the Most High because he's holding on to you. And the number could be seen as encompassing the fullness of the nations of Israel in the intact net shows the preservation of the people through the Most High's providence, as I was explaining to y'all earlier. Because we're scattered all over the world. There's different gatherings. We are in different walks of life. He's got to gather all these different nations or all these different Israelites from all these nations. But the ones he gathers, he won't lose. The ones who he awakened to this truth fully, because there are some people that wake up, but they go right back to sleep. But the ones who stay awake, those are the ones who are in this net, symbolized by the fish in this net, who get brought to the kingdom fully in this restoration, part of the faithful remnant of Israel. So verse 12, Most High said, come and dine, let's eat. And none of them asked, who is he? Because now they know who he is now. It's an intimate act of fellowship and covenant renewal, just like the Last Supper, right? It's reminiscent of that Last Supper. And it's also reminiscent of the Passover meal, or again, the covenant meal on Mount Sinai, which was, we can read in Exodus 24 and 11, where all Israel ate after that first covenant was made. Again, that's Exodus 24 and 11.
And upon the nobles of the children of Israel, he laid not his hand. Also, they saw God and did eat and drink.
So, as you can see, this same dining is what they're doing here. Renewing of this covenant. Making this new covenant here. So, when they recognize Yahushua without questioning his identity, it indicates what? That deep spiritual understanding and acceptance of the risen Messiah. So now they know who he is. Now they know what he came for, what his mission was. They understand fully, just like we understand fully who he is. Through reading this what? This word. In believing this word, obeying it. Now we got the same deep spiritual understanding the disciples did of who Yahushua was and what he came to do and what he's going to do when he come back. So Yahushua starts to serve them bread and fish, again, which echoes the feeding of the multitude, which if we turn to John 6 and 11, you remember the multitude, the 5,000 people he fed? Same thing here. He's blessed the food, he's given it out. And it's John 6 in verse 11.
And Jesus took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed to the disciples, and the disciples to them that were set down, and likewise of the fishes as much as they would.
Which represents, again, the Messiah's role in spiritually nourishing Israel. Because remember, he's the living word. He's the bread of life. The living waters that he offered the woman at the well back in John 4. Which was an Israelite, by the way. He's the only one that can nourish us spiritually. Nothing can satisfy us. No matter how many books you read outside of this Bible, how much knowledge you get out of that, none of them can nourish you spiritually like Yahushua can. Not one of them. But it also, again, shows the communal aspect of sharing in the Most High's provision together through this meal. It's about being united with the Most High's will and aligning your life to do what he has commanded us to do. That way you could participate in these blessings when we have been restored back to our land when he comes back the second time. And so he says this is now the third time. Again, that's that number 3 again. So the mention of this being his third appearance to the disciples after his resurrection can be seen as significant, with the number 3 symbolizing completeness and divine manifestation, as in what? The 3 patriarchs of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Also, life, death, life, burial, resurrection. He was in the grave 3 days, 3 nights. Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days, 3 nights. 3 patriarchs, as I just saw it, I just read. So this scene of the disciples coming to land and finding Yahushua with the fire, fish, and bread is a gathering of Israel to the presence of the Most High, where they find sustenance and fellowship with their brothers and sisters. So the act of bringing their catch to Yahushua and sharing in the meal he provides symbolizes the participation of Israel in the blessings of the covenant, particularly this one, the new covenant, in the unity of the people under the Messiah. The unbroken net, again with the specific number of fish, represents full restoration of the tribes of Israel, with each individual being accounted for and preserved. Most High got a tracking number on you. You can't go nowhere. You're going to stay in this truth 10 toes down. Your faith will never waver. That's what he's telling you. You in this net, I ain't letting you out of it. And the communal meal, again with Yahushua, serves them, signifies the Messiah's role in reestablishing this covenant relationship. That's what he had to do. He had to die. So that way our sins can be forgiven. And by him doing that, through that blood, we make this new covenant, which is also an extension right here through this meal. Because he made that in that Passover meal, the Last Supper. And again, they're showing it again, bringing our attention back to that Passover meal where he made the new covenant with his people. Not with everybody, which everybody seems to love to try to insert these other nations in the covenant. It's only Israel. That's it. Northern kingdom, southern kingdom. That's it. So he reestablishes his covenant relationship with us. He provides spiritual nourishment for us and reaffirms the intimate fellowship between the Most High and his people. That's because he loves us. He's doing all this because he loves us. He didn't want us to all die because that's where we was going, because we broke the covenant. So that means we all had to die and go into the lake of fire because we broke his covenant. So he came down and he died for us, so we didn't have to do that. So he took on our sins and nailed them to the cross. So this whole event, as a third appearance, marks a complete and divine affirmation of the resurrection and the new covenant for Israel with their risen Lord. That is what verses 9 through 14 is trying to get us to understand. New covenant. Old covenant gone. With this new covenant reality. It's present now. Law of Moses, gone. We're under the grace and mercy of Yahushua. And his commandments are faith and love for him and your brothers and sisters. That is how you fulfill the royal law. Because if you have those two things, you're not going to commit any transgressions on the 10 Commandments. You're going to do the law because you love your people and you love your God. So as we continue to move on in John 21, we're going to read verses 15 through 17.
So when they had dined, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me more than these? He said unto him, Yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. He said unto him, feed my lambs. He said to him again for the second time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? He said unto him, yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. He saith unto him, feed my sheep. He said unto him the third time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? Peter was grieved because he said unto him the third time, lovest thou me? And he said unto him, Lord, thou knowest all things. Thou knowest that I love thee. Jesus said unto him, feed my sheep.
So what we got going on here? So we got Simon Peter being told by the Most High, do you feed the sheep, feed the lambs? Basically meaning what? Go to my people, spread this good news, this gospel. Feed them with this gospel. And as you can see, he said it 3 times. See, there's that number 3 again. So when they had finished eating, Yahushua said to him all these things. Do you love me more than these? Now, Peter had claimed he would remain loyal, even if all others deserted Yahushua. As we see if we go turn our books to Matthew 26 and 33. Again, that's Matthew 26 and 33.
Peter answered and said unto him, though all men shall be offended because of thee, yet will I never be offended.
Because that's how loyal Peter said he was going to be to Yahushua. So he says, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Yahushua say, feed my lambs. So here, Yahushua appoints Peter to tend and nourish his followers, these Israelites, these believing Israelites, as a shepherd nourishes his flock, which fulfills Yahushua's command to Peter in John 10 and 16. Again, that's John 10 and 16. By him telling him this, it fulfills this command.
And the other sheep I have, which are not of this fold, them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd.
So he's telling him to go out there. Go with these sheep. We know that Simon Peter introduced his gospel to the northern kingdom too, because that fits in with what we see right here, 10:16. And other sheep I have. That's the northern kingdom. We know Peter went out there to Cornelius, who was an Israelite of the northern kingdom. So he's appointing him right here to go to the mother lost tribes. But he doesn't know it yet. He doesn't get it yet. But since we read this whole book, we understand what the Most High is saying to him through these scriptures, these other references. So again, Yahushua said to John, or to Simon, do you love me? Yes, Lord, you know that I love me. Yahushua said, take care of my sheep. So feed my sheep again. So he told him to feed his sheep. We have feed my lambs. Now it's feed my sheep. So Yahushua entrusts his flock to Peter's care right here. Though Peter had deserted him, offering forgiveness and the call to servant leadership instead of condemnation. Remember what happened with Peter? He denied him 3 times, right? Let's read it, just so we can see. John 18, verses 17, and then we skip down to 25 to 27. We start out with John 18 and 17, though.
Then saith the damsel that kept the door unto Peter, art not thou also one of this man's disciples? He said, I am not.
1. Now go down to 25 to 27.
And Simon Peter stood and warned himself. They said therefore unto him, art not thou also one of his disciples? He denied it and said, I am not.
2. Go ahead.
One of the servants of the high priest, being his kinsman, whose ear Peter cut off, said, did not I see thee in the garden with him? Peter then denied again, and immediately the cock crew.
Number 3. There's that 3 again. We keep seeing this 3, huh? It's all over the place. All over the place. You see, the Most High is Jesus, Yahushua, whatever you want to call him. He's giving Peter leadership. Even though he denied him, he's not condemning him. He's not punishing him. He's instead giving him care over all the flock to spread this gospel to the people. That's the new covenant for you. You break the law, you got death in the first covenant. But as you can see, the mercy and grace of Yahushua here, even after Peter denied him 3 times, the Most High still trusts him with his people. That's love, family. He forgave Peter and entrusted him with this instead of condemning him as he should have or as he could have. This is what the new covenant's all about. Love. And that's how we got to be with our people. Even though they do you wrong, forgive. I know it's hard because this flesh don't want to forgive. That pride is too much. But we have to forgive. So it says to him a 3rd time, do you love me, Peter? And the reason why he asked him those 3 times, why? Because it is the what? Denials. He's basically bringing the denials back into Peter's head. Symbolically, of course. Because Peter denied him 3 times. So that's why he questioned him 3 times to make sure. Because he denied him 3 times. You see how the Most High works? He's teaching him a lesson. Even though he's doing this, he's teaching him a lesson symbolically. And by him being able to give him this forgiveness, it shows the depths of divine grace that Yahushua possesses, because Yahushua restores and recommissions Peter here despite his failures. And so Peter answered, Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. Yahushua said, feed my sheep. Very truly I tell you, when you were younger, you dressed yourself. Oh, okay. I'm going a little bit further. I'm going a little bit further. But family, this is what the new covenant's all about. And this is what the Most High is trying to get you to see. You may do wrong. You may stray. But the Most High can forgive. People may do you wrong in this world. Family, co-workers, whoever it may be. They may do you wrong. Your people. But they still your brothers and sisters. Forgiveness. That's why he says turn the other cheek. That's to your own people. Not these heathen. That's for your own people. No conflict. There's no need for conflict amongst each other. You're supposed to love your own people. So this passage, verses 15 through 17, can be seen again as a restoration or a representation of the restoration of Israel through a process of reaffirmation and commitment to the Most High. Peter's role here as a shepherd to the lambs and sheep that we read symbolizes the leaders of Israel being called to tend the needs of the people, guiding them in the ways of righteousness and faith. The thrice repeated dialogue between Yahushua and Peter again reflects the restoration of the covenant relationship, which had been broken by Israel's denials and failures, particularly and specifically Peter's denials of the Most High. So Yahushua's knowledge of Peter's heart and his commission to feed the sheep represents the omniscience of the Most High and his charge to the leaders of Israel to care for his people with integrity and faithfulness. You see, that's what the leaders are supposed to do. But our leaders today are not doing these things with integrity and faithfulness. Instead, they have turned their backs on the Most High towards money. They have turned their backs on their people, these lambs, these sheeps, particularly sheeps, in pursuit of what? Glory. Which is why a lot of these pastors are going to get it. Which is why you see what's going on with probably the biggest one, Mr. Snakes. Oh, my fault, Mr. Jakes. My bad. Mr. Jakes. It's only the beginning. This will continue to happen. And the Most High is trying to force these pastors back onto the right path. But he got to punish them. You got to be punished. You reap what you sow. Just like the Most High put us in captivity to get us to turn back towards him. And the remnant of us have. Just like a remnant of these pastors will turn back to him in loving kindness and faithfulness and righteousness and feed his sheep the way he wants them to feed his sheep. But the majority, they ain't going to turn back. And they will be dealt with according to the Most High's will. So the restoration of Peter here is an allegory for the restoration of all Israel, with the leaders being tasked to shepherd the people in the path of the new covenant established by the Messiah. That's what we're supposed to do, but we got a lot of preachers, a lot of people keep talking about we in the old covenant, especially a lot of these Torah-only Israelites. They're still leading our people down the old path instead of this new covenant path that Yahushua has set out for us. They keep on trying to bring wrath on our people because that's what the old path gave us, wrath. But this new path gives us mercy and grace and forgiveness. But our people are stubborn and stiff-necked. And a lot of them are going to get left behind. But you remnant, especially the ones who are listening to me right now, the Most High has a mission for you. He has tasked me with a mission to teach you. But the wisdom and the knowledge and the understanding that I pass on to you, guess what? Now you can pass it on to someone else. And so on and so forth. This is what it's all about. The Most High is empowering me to empower you to empower someone else in this book. That's how it works. It's a chain. It's like a chain gang. So the knowledge that the Most High has given me, he expects me to give it to you. But then he expects you to give it to others of our people. That's our mission. So this knowledge, you cannot sit on it. You got to tell other people, our people, the ones who are lost. Whenever you get the opportunity, you got to tell them of this gospel. If they listen, they listen. All praises. If not, do not let it discourage you. Keep it moving to the next whenever the opportunity presents itself. So as we go back to John 21, we're going to read verses 18 through 19.
Verily, verily, I say unto thee, when thou wast young, thou girdest thyself and walkest where thou wouldest. But when thou shalt be old, thou shalt stretch forth thy hands, and another shall gird thee, and carry thee whither thou wouldest not. This spake he, signifying by what death he should glorify God. And when he had spoken this, he said unto him, Follow me.
That's powerful, family. Just told Peter how he gonna die. That's powerful. On how it told him how he gonna die. The same way he did. Gonna crucify him. This could be anybody's fate in this truth. You could be a martyr. Who knows? Any one of us could be a martyr for this truth and gotta die for the Most High. We gotta be prepared. We have to be prepared for this. This is the cost of discipleship. This is the cost of being a follower of the Most High. This should not scare you. But our death will what? Glorify. Glorify. That's a positive spin. That's a positive thing. Our death is going to glorify the Most High. I know everybody got a fear of death. I understand that. It's just part of the way it is with this flesh. But how you die? Are you going to die glorifying God, or are you going to die not glorifying God? That is the question. I would rather you die to glorify the Most High. So if you're going to die for this truth, do not be scared. That is a one-way ticket to the kingdom. You got yourself a golden ticket. Do not fear death. Because if you believe in Christ, you will live eternally again. That's why you shouldn't be scared. Death is just a rest from all your labors. Just sleep. Poof. It's a rest from all your labors. No more having to deal with the heathen no more. No more having to deal with all the harshness of life. Now you get to just rest and just await for your Messiah to raise you up out the ground again. So verse 18, saying, hey, when you was young, you put your own clothes on and you walk wherever you went. But now when you get old, now somebody else got to clothe you. And you got to be carried to other places where you don't want to go. You got no control over where you go. So this contrast between the freedom of youth and the constraints of old age is an allegory, another one, for the Israelite experience. Why? Because in our youth, in our early history, when the Most High brought us out of the land, they were self-directed. But in old age, later history, they would what? Face captivity and be led where they do not wish to go as in the Babylonian exile, and especially now this one. Powerful stuff. See, we did whatever we wanted to do in the land. We worship other gods. We did whatever we wanted to do, right? But in our later history, Most High put all them other nations on our behind. Captivity after captivity after captivity after captivity. Now we going to other places where we don't want to go. Now look at us here today. In the greatest captivity we've ever been in. With no time limit. I know they keep trying to tell you the 400 years, but no. That was for Egypt. Don't let them fool you. This captivity got no time limit. We're going to have to just sit here and wait. So this stretching forth of the hands may symbolize crucifixion, a form of execution that Peter would later face, according to tradition. And also represents the submission to God's will. Because that's exactly what happened to Yahushua, right? He submitted to his Father's will by what? Dying on the cross for our sins. And so Peter would do the exact same thing. He would die on the cross for God's will, to be glorified there. So Yahushua's statement clarifies in verse 19 that Peter's eventual martyrdom, dying for the word, would serve to glorify him, reflecting the belief that the faithful suffering is not in vain, but it contributes to the divine plan, as we would read if we turn our books over to Philippians 1 and 20. Again, that is Philippians 1, verse 20.
According to my earnest expectation and my hope, that in nothing I shall be ashamed, but that with all boldness, as always, so now also Christ shall be magnified in my body, whether it be by my life or by death.
Magnified, just same, isn't that what Jesus just told Peter? Your death is going to glorify. Same thing. Let's turn our books over to John 15 and 20. Why does Peter got to go through this? Well, let's see what Yahushua got to tell them. John 15 and 20.
Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you.
That
If
was
they,
for our, go ahead.
if they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also.
If Yahushua had to go through it, we gonna go through it. Back then, and even into today. Some of us are going to have to die for this truth. You can't escape that. If you truly love the Most High, then dying for him, he died for you, right? He died for your sins. You mean to tell me you can't die for him, and all of a sudden you scared? But he died for you. But you can't pay him back. You can't do him the same courtesy to glorify him, his Father. That's lukewarm right there, right? You down for everything, but when it comes to dying, all of a sudden, whoa, hold on now. Nobody said nothing about dying. All of a sudden now you want to get out. You're looking for an exit. You either want all this truth or you want none of it. This is the cost to be the boss. This is something that you got to have seared in your mind. It may happen. It may not happen. We don't know our fates. The Most High know, but we don't know. So the call to follow him right after he said all these things, again, is a direct command to what? Emulate Yahushua's own path of obedience and sacrifice. That's what we got to live our life like. We have to obey and we have to sacrifice. All the stuff that we used to do, can't do it no more. That's a sacrifice. Heck, if we got to put our life down for Christ, that's a sacrifice. It's the ultimate expression of faith in service to the Most High, which again also echoes the call of the Most High to the Israelites to follow him and keep his commandments. If we go over to Deuteronomy 13 and 4, again, that's Deuteronomy chapter 13 and 4. It's the same command that he told all of Israel.
Ye shall walk after the Lord your God, and fear him, and keep his commandments, and obey his voice, and ye shall serve him and cleave unto him.
So allegorically, Peter's journey, personal journey, from self-directed youth to constrained old age, again, is seen as a metaphor for the journey of us, our people, who moved from the autonomy of the judges in early monarchy of Solomon and David and Saul to the loss of self-determination in exile. When we went over to the Babylonian captivity, the Assyrians, the northern kingdom, they got taken away, never to return. So the foretold manner of Peter's death can be interpreted as the suffering Israel would endure, which is what we're doing even to today, which would ultimately serve to glorify the Most High and testify to his sovereignty and faithfulness. So the call to follow me is representative of the call to all Israelites to walk in the ways of Yah, regardless of the personal cost, which may be your life, trusting in the promise of restoration and the ultimate triumph of God's purposes, which is putting us above all the other nations and having the other nations serve us and teaching the other nations the word, because we're going to be kings and priests. Because our suffering and our obedience leads to redemption and the glorification of the Most High. Because this is all a part of his plan. So by us doing our plan, guess what? We align ourselves to his will, which glorifies who? Him. That's what he's trying to get you to understand in these verses. He's just trying to get you to understand, hey, do not be afraid. You're going to have to die. You may have to die, but your death is going to glorify me. So do not fear. Your death is going to be a good thing, not a bad thing. That's how we must look at this. That's how we must look at death. You should not fear death. I don't. I don't fear it. Why? Because of what he just told Peter. It's going to glorify the Most High. If I got to die for this truth, hey, it is what it is. But my death will glorify him and earn me an express ticket to the kingdom. So this is what you must go through, Israel. You got to endure. You have to endure. And if you got to die, then you thank the Most High. So as we move on, John 21, read verses 20 and 22. Almost done.
Then Peter, turning about, seeth the disciple whom Jesus loved following, which also leaned on his breast at supper, and said, Lord, which is he that betrayeth thee? Peter, seeing him, saith to Jesus, Lord, and what shall this man do? Jesus said unto him, If I would tarry, that he tarry till I come, what is that to thee? Follow me.
So what is being said here? So you got John asking Yahushua this question, asking who betrayed him, which symbolizes the Israelite tendency to be concerned with the roles and destinies of others within our community. See, this is a big one right here. We nosy. We are nosy people. Let's just go ahead and admit that. We nosy. We worry about what everybody else doing except for us. That's what John doing here. He worried about somebody else's stuff and not his own salvation. And we got a tendency to do that. It's true. We got a tendency to be up in somebody else's business while not taking care of our own business. We like to judge other people for things that they doing when we doing the exact same thing over here. That's what John doing right here by asking this question. Worrying about other people. We can't be worried about other people, fam. We got to worry about ourselves. So the mention of the Last Supper recalls again the intimacy of the covenant relationship, as well as the moment of betrayal by none other than Judas, which again can be seen as a parallel to the betrayals Israel faced throughout its history, such as when they turned to other gods or broke the covenant, as we read in Hosea 6 and 7. Again, that's Hosea chapter 6 and verse 7. Actually, read verse 6 and 7 of Hosea chapter 6.
For I desired mercy and not sacrifice, and the knowledge of God more than burnt offerings. But they, like men, have transgressed the covenant. There have they dealt treacherously against me.
Same betrayals. Just like Judas did on Yahushua. We betrayed our Elohim as well, as a whole. And we've been doing that our whole history. History of betrayal. So Peter asking, what shall this man do? So Peter's question regarding the future of the beloved disciple, John here, reflects a common human concern for the fate of others. But in this context of Israel here, it's seen as an inquiry into the roles different tribes or individuals may play in the Most High's plan, which in this curiosity mirrors the same questions the Israelites might have had about their own roles and the roles of others in the unfolding of the Most High's promises, which we read if we go to Numbers 27 and 21. It's the exact same thing. Asking about other people's roles and what they have in common with the Most High's promises. Numbers 27 and 21.
And he shall stand before Elijah the priest, who shall ask counsel for him after the judgment of Urim before the Lord. At his word shall they go out, and at his word they shall come in, both he and all the children of Israel with him, even all the congregation.
So that's everybody else asking, okay, what's going to happen with this man? That's that curiosity right there. So Yahusha, he answers. If I want him to remain alive until I return, what is that to you? In English terms, layman terms here. You must follow me. See, he's saying you. What matters? Who cares about what he said? You follow me. You worry about you. But the Most High wants us to worry about ourselves, family. So Yahusha corrects Peter's misplaced curiosity and calls him back to the central priority of following Christ. As Yahusha prayed, we go to John 17 and 14. Or 17 and 4. Sorry. 17 and 4. telling them about the priority of following Christ alone. Again, that's John 17, verse 4.
I have glorified thee on earth. I have finished the work which thou gavest me to do.
So he reminds Peter here to focus on obedience, not compare his calling to John here, who asked that question in verse 20. So because of this, right here, the phrase tarry till I come alludes to the hope of Israel for the Messiah's return, which can be allegorically related to the Israelites' need to focus on their own personal and corporate obedience to the Most High, rather than being concerned with the divine plan for other nations or individuals as a whole. You see these little specific things about people. That's the specific part. But then it always goes back to a broad understanding of Israel as a whole. That's just another secret when you read these things here about certain people in the Bible. It can always be back interpreted to Israel as a whole. Because if we go to Jeremiah 45 and 5, you'll see about us or Israel being concerned about other nations or individuals. Again, that's Jeremiah 45 and 5.
And seekest thou great things for thyself? Seek them not. For behold, I will bring evil upon all flesh, saith the Lord. But thy life will I give unto thee for a prey, and in all places whither thou goest.
So, allegorically, this whole passage, 2022, Peter's interaction with Yahushua and the beloved disciple, John, represents the dynamic within the Israelite community, where there is a concern for the role and fate of each member within the larger divine narrative. Because we all want to know what our fate is. What's his gift? What's he here in this truth for? What's he finna do? What's his purpose? So Yahushua, he directs Peter to focus on following him, which is a call for all Israel to concentrate on their own obligations, trusting that the Most High's plan for each individual and tribe will unfold according to divine wisdom. So the beloved disciples' potential to remain until Yahushua's return symbolizes the enduring presence of a faithful remnant within Israel. That's us. That's just the part of the remnant, which holds fast to the hope of Messiah's ultimate return and the fulfillment of the Most High's promises to his people. That's what it means. Faithful remnant. Worry about yourself. Don't worry about anybody else. Everybody who's in this truth is in this truth for their own reason. That's only known between them and the Most High. Focus on your own walk. Don't focus on anybody else's walk. We got to focus on our own salvation, right? Isn't that how it's supposed to be? So that's what the Most High is trying to tell you. Focus on following me. Don't worry about nobody else. I got that. That's my worrying. That's what I do. I'm in control of that. You worry about you and you only. Because we're going to only save ourselves. Can't save nobody else. And that's the lesson here. And then finally, we read the last verse of John as a whole. Verse 23.
Then went this saying abroad among the brethren, that the disciples should not die. Yet Jesus said not unto him, He shall not die. But if I will that he tarry till I come, what is that to thee?
There it is. Tarry till I come. Is that verse 23?
That's 23.
I thought I had something different. Okay. So we had this rumor that spread in here among the other disciples that this disciple would not die. They're saying John gonna live forever. That's basically what they're saying because they took his words again carnally. But Yahushua did not say that he would not die. He only said, if I want him to remain alive until I return, what is that to you? Which demonstrates again how easily misunderstandings arise and spread, as seen in the Corinthians' confusion about the resurrection. So if we go to 1 Corinthians 15 and 12, we'll see some of this confusion that Paul addresses here.
Now, if Christ be preached that he rose from the dead, how say among you that there is no resurrection of the dead?
See, that's the confusion right there. Some people say, hey, it's preached. It's in the word that he's going to rise again. But some people don't believe in the resurrection. They don't believe that anybody could be resurrected. You in the dirt, that's it. There's got people who believe that today amongst our people. I was one. I was an atheist. We didn't believe in that. Didn't believe in no God, no resurrection. You go to death. You go into the ground. That's it. You become worm food. That's it. It's over. There's nothing awaiting you. That's what I believed in. And that's what a lot of people believe in today. And back then, they believed in the same thing. Some people did not believe in Christ or the resurrection, that is. So it's very easy to misunderstand a lot of things. This is why we have to get a spiritual understanding, because that's the reason why they misunderstood what Christ was talking about, is because they had a carnal understanding and they did not have a spiritual understanding. So we must come out of this carnal mindset. We have to seek spiritual understanding instead of the carnal, or else you do a lot of misinterpreting of the Bible. Just look at a lot of our Israelite brethren who are still teaching a lot of false doctrines because they're looking at the physical words on the page and they're not looking at the spiritual words behind them. So they're taking everything literally. Now, a lot of this stuff you can't take literally, but they all have a spiritual meaning. And that is the understanding that is going to give you more wisdom. You can only get so much knowledge in the flesh. It's limited. But through the Holy Spirit, it's unlimited knowledge. You can get as much knowledge as you want to, as much knowledge as the Most High feeds you. It can hold a lot. And that's where you must, or we must, as a people, that's where we must head ourselves to be. That's the direction we must go. Spiritual understanding. Get out of this carnal understanding. Now, though Yahushua simply told Peter not to worry about John's fate, the disciples, they misconstrued this to mean John would never die. So we too can easily misinterpret the Most High's words instead of seeking the truth, as the Bereans did in Acts 17:11. Watch this. If you want to learn, if you want to get the spiritual understanding, do what the Bereans do. Let's read Acts 17 and 11.
These were more noble than those in Thessalonica, and then they received the word with all readiness of mind and searched the scriptures daily, whether those things were so.
That is how you get your understanding, family. So you cannot misconstrue things. You get your understanding by reading, searching the scriptures. You see that word daily, not monthly, not weekly, not yearly, daily. This is something that you must do every day. You must put forth the effort. This is what I did when I came into this truth. I was searching. I was in this thing every day, hours at a time sometimes, trying to figure out what the book means. And by doing that, the Most High saw the effort I was putting in, and He gave me understanding. So if you don't understand something, search the scriptures like the Bereans did, and pray to the Most High that He gives you knowledge, understanding of whatever it is that you're trying to understand. And if you put forth the effort, the Most High will listen, and He will answer your prayer and give you what you seek. So that's what it's about. So then we finish up John 21 and we read verses 24 and 25. I really did I thought the 23 was the end. My bad.
No problem. This is the disciple which testified of these things and wrote these things, and we know that his testimony is true. And there are also many other things which Jesus did, the which, if they should be written every one, I suppose that even the word itself could not contain the books that should be written. Amen.
Mm. What is that saying? So John testifies to the truth. Now this is who he's talking about, this author, the disciple here. This is John. So as John testifies to this truth, he fulfills Deuteronomy 19 and 15. Again, that's Deuteronomy 19 and 15, which shows you how you establish the truth.
One witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity or for any sin. In any sin that he sinneth, at the mouth of two witnesses or at the mouth of three witnesses shall the matter be established.
So if Yahusha did many other things as well, if every one of them were written down, he says, I suppose that even the whole world will not have room for the books that will be written. That's how much stuff he did that he did not put in here. But whatever he put in here is what he wants us to focus on. If there's other things that he did that he wants us to get to, that he wants us to know about, he will reveal that to us. But what he has put in this book, that's what he wants us to focus on. So if we go back again, one book to John 20 and 30, we can see John says all the things that, or the works that Yahusha did. Exact same thing that he just said here in 26. He said it right here in John 20 and 30.
Yeah, and many other signs that truly did Jesus in the presence of his disciples, which are not written in this book.
So the fullness of Christ's words and works far exceed what scriptures reveals. So John bore witness to these signs that reveal Yahusha as the Messiah, the Son of Yah, so that by believing we may have eternal life in his name. How do we know that? Well, right there on the verse right after John 20 and 30, what does 31 say?
But these are written that ye might believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that believing ye might have life through his name.
So through the Spirit's inspiration, John's selective account gives us sufficient testimony to place our faith in Christ. That's why he didn't have to include everything. He gave us just enough so we can believe. He gave us just enough meat so that we can have this testimony on our hearts, so that we can believe, so that we can see what he did, so we can walk in his path. He didn't have to put everything in there. He put what he needed to put through the Spirit's intervention. so that we who are reading this book today can believe and have everlasting life. So thank the Most High for the testimony of Scripture that reveals Yahushua as the Hamashiach. That way we can increase our faith as we study the signs and stories of his life. Also, thank the Most High that we may encounter him more fully through the Spirit's work in our lives beyond the written word, and to help us bear witness to him for the life of Israel. And with that, I thank you guys for enduring all of this. John, we're done. All praises to the Most High. I hope this lesson was edifying spiritually to you. I leave discussion open if you guys want to discuss anything further. If not, we could cut it short. You guys can enjoy the rest of your Sabbath. So I leave everything to you.
Good luck.